So then another player, like I referenced, that you also met quite a lot, especially this year, was Jaedong. Now, one of the things that was cool was when those players first came over from Brood War, because obviously they came over to StarCraft 2 later because of the whole Kesper drama and when they transitioned to the game, etc. Right, when these players came over, and obviously everyone was mega hyped for Flash and Jaedong. They're the two players everyone wanted to see because they were like the gods in Brood War. They had all those championships. And obviously in Brood War, there weren't Westerners who could go and live in Korea and have a chat. Like that story about Idra where he lived there. People are being harsh when they say he was a toilet cleaner, but the reason they say that is because if you were the worst player on the team, you used to have to do chores. Like, he essentially was the toilet cleaner, you know, like, he might win a scrim, like, one game in practice, but, like, they hardly would even practice him. Like, they were just at a lower level. So, to even have a chance to play these guys and to beat them in matches, like, I know you weren't a massive Brood War fan, but it must be significant if you beat Jaedong, right?
I mean, obviously, my hype comes from other players, right? Because a lot of people idolize them, like Bisu, Flash, Jaedong. I remember I was playing Bisu the first time in that, it was like
exhibition
MLG exchange thingy. Like, yes. It was like Kespa and MLG doing something, and like all the MLG players were going to play all the Kespa players.
Yes.
And I remember it was a very interesting feeling in that sense. But like, what struck me about Jaedong when I lived together with him was that he was always very like respectful. He always followed whatever the coach said, like whatever he said. He played all the time against anybody. He tried exactly as hard against every single player. So like the how do you say like the not obedience, but like
diligence.
Work ethic.
The
work ethic. Excuse me. Yeah, like that was something that I found was extremely impressive, at least in my from the way I saw it.
Was that rare?
A lot more relaxed, but
right. Was that rare compared to other people?
It's not like it wasn't that rare, but like just the way he did it. Like he followed order to 100%. He never questioned anything, never complained, always played the way he was supposed to. Like he had a very different aura compared to the other Koreans in that sense, and like he obviously had like a god status among them as well. Like all the other Koreans, they obviously saw him in another light in that sense. Like it was obvious for anybody who was outside, and just like the sheer speed which he improved. Like you said earlier on, I didn't really understand this when I started to play the game, right? Like, I thought that like, okay, the players I play against now, like Kiwikaki and those kind of people were like going to be good as the game went on. And, like, I'm just the best. But then when like the Koreans came over, you were like, okay, the Koreans are good, but like, okay. The Kespa players then came over and I saw this guy, Rain.
Yes.
I was like, Jesus Christ, like we have been playing against like the C-tier Koreans.
Yes.
But there was like some really amazing players. Like when I watched Rain play, it was something else. Like, I don't want to say he was like a robot, but like he played exactly the way you're supposed to play. He did everything correct. You couldn't do the exact same thing as he did. It was just impressive in some sense.
Well, actually, that's something we can talk about because, again, there's another area where I also used to actually start to give my opinion because I just couldn't handle like the ridiculous like narrative that Westerners were making. So the real problem is this: because StarCraft 2, like we're saying, was out for a few years and had all these big tournaments before the Kesper players came. Everyone in StarCraft 2 had to like brainwash themselves that like it didn't matter and like, you know, like all the players that they had were the best and that, you know, maybe these other guys wouldn't even be good, blah blah blah, all the rest of it. Even though, as you're saying, like if you look at when the first ones came over, listen, yes, like maybe Flash and Jaedong weren't the best or whatever, but the ones that came from Brood War, they basically took over StarCraft 2. If I name off some names now for people: Rain, Sue, fucking Innovation. These are all the Brood War players. Soul Key. These guys all came from Brood War, and the idea was like a year or two in, these were like the best players on their races. And as you're saying, like Rain, particularly probably of those ones, is probably the most underrated because the others all got the championships and the rest. Like he won a couple, but like he was the one who never quite fulfilled his potential. Because if you ever saw how this guy could practice and how good he was like on the ladder, dude, he was like the chosen one of Protoss. Like all the excuses I gave before of like, oh, you can't do this if you're pro. He just used to play like he was a fucking Terran or something, like just flawlessly destroy you with like the perfect game, right?
Yeah, exactly like you were saying. I still remember it was like the same week that Kespa switched, there was this one guy that nobody knew who he was, like really high up on the ladder. And then it was like leaked. It was Rain. After just like a few weeks of playing the game, was already at top in like practice. And I remember he won like that Star League, and then the same year he won the GSL. It was just amazing in that sense. But then like Maru started to become good because he was like
another Brood War player, by the way.
And wait, Maru.
Oh, actually, sorry. No, sorry. I'm thinking of Baby.
TY,
yes,
right?
I meant TY.
I think you mean TY, right?
I got confused. Yeah, that's right.
No. But Maru started to become good, and but I think I will always remember Rain in that sense. Like he was obviously, in my mind, the best player to ever play the game. In my mind, at least.
I mean, you did say earlier, obviously, you're biased to the Protoss players, and obviously...
Right, but like when I look at him and then compare him to like MC or stats and so on, I think he was a step above, in my opinion.
Sure.